Welcome to part 2 of our WWE RAW reactions. We are recapping the episode of RAW leading up to this year's WWE Battlegrounds event. Make sure you guys tune in to part 1 if you had not watched that yet. And as soon as we're done with this, we'll be recording our big preview for the Battlegrounds event, so make sure you guys check that out as well. I'm RJ, joined by FPS Kyle.
What's going on, everybody?
Retro Brett.
Let's do this.
C-Dub is live from Richmond, Virginia. What's up, C-Dub?
Hanging out, guys. Just outside the Richmond Coliseum, heading back to my hotel for the night. Gonna head back to my home, Rocky Top, Knoxville, Tennessee, after this. Let's go ahead and get into part 2 here, guys. We got a lot more stuff to cover.
Oh, yeah. We'll quickly brush over RVD versus Alberto Del Rio. Congratulations to the Mexican athlete, Alberto Del Rio. He comes out with the victory.
Mexico's greatest export.
Yeah,
as
hey.
they call him.
He's, we've seen big things out of him in the past. There is a chance that maybe he gets some momentum and gets, some victories under his belt, possibly making a run at one of these title belts. But as of right now, he's kind of just that, he's just there at this point. Now, I do want to bring up, because we got to talk about what I thought was the match of the night. Big E versus Cesaro. I thought this was a great match, Corey. What'd you think?
Oh, man, it was a fantastic match. We saw Big E capitalize and use the big ending on Cesaro to get the big win. After, Cesaro, after what was a great match between these two big powerhouses, Cesaro kind of got pissed off and went and under the ring and went for a couple chairs. And he threw one of them at Kofi, and or toward Kofi Kingston, I guess, like kind of in his general direction. I don't know
Good thing he's good at dodgeball.
And, another one on Big E, but Kofi ended up jumping up from the floor and grabbing it out of his hands. Big E hits the big ending on Cesaro, gets the pin. Guys, we noticed tonight, conspicuous by his absence, there was no Paul Heyman with Cesaro.
What was that about, C-Dub? I know we got perhaps some clues. There's somebody on the screen right now that might be slightly involved in this situation, but that was too big to not notice, C-Dub. What the hell? Paul Heyman, at first I was like, maybe Paul Heyman's at the hospital, maybe he's got an anniversary or something, but we saw him later on in the night. This is a big deal that Paul Heyman was not by Cesaro's side here, C-Dub.
Yeah, most definitely, man. We saw in a couple different split segments a little bit of distrust between the Authority, Triple H, Rollins, Kane, the whole 9 yards. They're really playing up a lot of dissension between those guys. Triple H basically told Orton that he is the plan. He is plan A. There is no plan B for this Sunday, and that Orton's going to be the guy no matter what to come out. But later in the night, after we saw a little bit more, possibly dissension, after Seth Rollins came in and said that, I've got the Money in the Bank briefcase if Orton and Kane can't get it done. Paul Heyman walks in and just kind of casually noted that basically if the Authority doesn't think Plan A or B is going to work, he has Plan C ready. So
what is Plan
we'll go
C?
ahead and talk about Plan C, guys, on the WWE Battleground preview we're going to do here in just a minute.
Yes. But as for this match, give credit to Big E as Cesaro loses another match. This is 3 straight losses for him. Big E comes out with an impressive win. We already mentioned him in part 1 as possibly being a big-time tag team contender with his new partnership with Kofi Kingston. But he took out Cesaro here, Big E. I know you've been high on him in the past, Retro Brett. What do you think about him right now?
Well, I think they're pushing. I like the tag team. I think it's going to be a good tag team. I got to say this. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a chair.
Yeah.
It was I felt it was kind of a short match, but it was loaded with powerhouse moves. Not really much else to say other than that.
Yeah, great match.
I was hoping to see the Cesaro swing. I was hoping to see fucking pick up old Big E and get him start swinging and see what happened. But yeah, Big E coming through, and That's what I'm saying. I want to see this tag team partnership because I think you're gonna have the high flyer, the fast guy with the muscle of Big E, and I think it's a good combination.
Absolutely. Props to Big E. He gets a big time victory. I'm not sure what to make out of this Cesaro losing streak. And with Paul Heyman not by his side, I'm sure it was because of how Paul Heyman had some antics going on. But I don't know if Cesaro is going to be as powerful on his own. He does need Paul Heyman, who's a very legit manager here. I'm sure they will join up soon, or maybe they won't. Maybe Paul Heyman will be busy doing something else.
With somebody else.
What is that something else?
Well,
what is that?
I'm sure all of you big WWE fans listening know exactly what we're talking about, but make sure to stay tuned to the preview, because I'm sure all of our predictions will involve Plan C. Chris Jericho comes out, man. Epic intro, showing off his lighted up jacket that he always wears there. But he was answered by Bray Wyatt in another confrontation between the two, leading up to a matchup this Sunday. Corey, what happened?
Yeah, we saw Jericho come out right around the top of the hour there. Jericho, was talking to the crowd, doing his usual Raw is Jericho thing, and listed off some of his major accomplishments, and started talking a little bit, about Bray Wyatt, how he's never really seen anything quite like Bray Wyatt. And Jericho basically said that, he confirmed the fact we're going to see Jericho versus Wyatt at Battleground. And he said, if you want to get crazy, Wyatt, let's get crazy. And Bray Wyatt then interrupted Chris on the video screen, sort of talked a little bit on a promo about being a kid and how, children are so innocent and they don't know what's going on, and how Jericho promised to save everybody, save the children and the fans. Guys, for the first time ever, the big thing to note about this Bray Wyatt promo, we heard a boring chant from the crowd. What the hell? I mean, maybe, I don't know. Something about it. But basically, right after the promo, he blew his lantern out, the lights came on, and then Wyatt again came up on the screen and asked Jericho if he's afraid of the dark, and then the lights went out again. And, of course, Rowan and Harper were in the ring, went after Jericho, who ducked a big boot from Harper, got out of the ring, kind of working his way back up the aisle with his back to the entranceway, and then suddenly from behind got nailed from one Bray Wyatt, who was sporting a pretty nasty-looking, I think 7 stitches above one of his eyes there, courtesy of the guy we see on the screen right now, who we also saw on Raw tonight, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Bray Wyatt hits Sister Abigail on the stage, onto Jericho. Guys, Jericho versus Wyatt for the first time ever. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, probably the match I'm looking forward to most. It will be epic. Can't wait to see Bray Wyatt's epic intro. I take tonight's boring chant as these guys here in Virginia just being huge Chris Jericho fans and backing him up, trying to kind of diss Bray Wyatt in the middle of his speech and empower Chris Jericho. But in the end, Chris Jericho fell victim to the Sister Abigail, and the lights went off. That's the last we saw of him.
I don't know. Chris Jericho versus Wyatt. I think this is going to be a great matchup. It's definitely one of Bray Wyatt's biggest rivalries to date. I mean, obviously, John Cena was probably his biggest. But, yeah, it's going to be a pretty good match. And what do you think there, Kyle?
Well, I mean, like I said, Chris Jericho is at the Wyatt compound right now and tried to get away. Hopefully I don't know what kind of condition he's going to be in for Sunday, but yeah, this is going to be an epic battle. I love to see Chris Jericho back in wrestling. It's great for the sport. It's great for the fans. Him against Bray Wyatt just makes sense. And like Corey had mentioned here, we kind of saw another side of Bray Wyatt. Maybe kind of that when he was younger, thought Chris Jericho was going to be, the one to save all these, bring people back to wrestling, and then he leaves. And that's kind of why Bray Wyatt has this, distaste for him and wants to take him down because he felt Chris Jericho turned his back on him.
Traitor, hypocrite.
Exactly, turned on him, and so we'll see what happens. But Chris Jericho ain't looking too good right now, that's all I got to say.
Well, he's closing his eyes there.
It's just a combination here, a great combination between these guys. Good combo of styles. And I think it's going to make for an epic matchup, to say the least. And I know Corey was looking forward to that matchup as well. We'll definitely talk about that in our preview. AJ Lee took out Eva Marie. Not a very good matchup here, but it did, of course, lead up to this Divas Championship matchup that we'll see against Paige. They had some kind of weird thing going on, Corey. I mean, did you take anything out of that? I thought it was a little bit of a immature stunt that they're kind of pulling with those two.
Yeah, we had Paige on commentary in AJ's match here, which she got by submission, the victory over Eva Marie. And then after the match, AJ basically came and stood on the table and like sat down Indian style, stole JBL's headset.
Applesauce.
There was this weird little like, I guess, I don't know, that Paige was basically selling the fact that they are frenemies. To me, guys, one of these two has to snap at some point, probably this Sunday. So we'll definitely get more into that on our big preview of Battleground.
Yeah, I will point out that AJ Lee had a pretty good finishing move with that Black Widow.
Yeah.
So Paige definitely better watch out, because now they both have that sudden submission move. Of course, Paige with the Paige Turner special move. So we'll see who can pull it off this Sunday and who comes out as the champ. Bo Dallas took on the Great Khali, and this was an interspecies battle. C-Dub, break it down for us.
Well, we saw a battle of chops here between the Great Khali and Bo Dallas. Khali, basically chopped the bejesus out of him. Dallas followed suit. We then saw Khali toss Bo over the top rope, followed him up on the outside. And then we saw Bo Dallas found an opening to hit the Great Khali. Oh, watch out, guys. I got a train here. I got a train moving through Richmond here. Sorry, guys. I'm on my way back to the hotel here. Hopefully you can hear me.
You want to run in a train on some ladies?
Damn Virginian trains.
Yeah, I know it, man. But back to business here. Or is it Bo'sness? Bo hit the Bo Dog on the Great Khali, who was down for the 10 count. The streak is alive, guys. Bo Dallas gets the count-out victory over the Great Khali, takes his victory lap, tells his quote-unquote little buddy, the Great Khali, that he might have lost tonight, but pow, right in the head. Khali knocked him out. Bo scrambled on his way back to the backstage area. Both these guys are going to be in the Intercontinental Title Battle Royal this Sunday at Battleground. I got to call Khali an early favorite no matter what, just as the biggest guy in there.
Yeah, good luck throwing him out. And Bo Dallas, congratulations. The streak continues. He's undefeated, guys. Perhaps leading up to a big undefeated matchup between Bo Dallas and Rusev, if Rusev can take out Jack Swagger. Paul Heyman did show up soon after that. I know we already brought that up, but worth bringing up again. Paul Heyman showing up, talking about Plan C. What does it mean? But of course, after that, we get to see Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Woo! Corey, this was a pretty interesting, I guess you could say, interview that he had with the lovely Renee Young, and it led to the main event. What happened here?
Well, we saw the lovely Renee Young come out and welcome the Nature Boy, the 16-time world champion, NWA, WCW, WWF, WWE legend. He came out, great pop for being in Richmond. He had a lot of history in that city. Renee basically, after being all but proposed to by Flair, who was clearly on had his supply of Cialis this evening, we saw Renee ask Flair who he thought would be the winner this week at Battleground in the big main event on Sunday for the title. Flair had to say that he's looking as his big favorite for John Cena, the 15-time World Heavyweight Champion. Coming up on on Flair's record there, huh, Retro Brett?
I predicted this for a long time. I couldn't be more happy, and yeah, it's an epic accomplishment to have 15 titles. I mean, he's already the best WWE champion of all time, because Flair hasn't had all his championships in WWF, WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he's one, or actually two, away from the record. So.
Yeah, one to tie, two to break it. And one thing we also got to bring up was, of course, Roman Reigns came in, kind of looked like he maybe didn't like, of course, Ric Flair's prediction that John Cena would win it. So you thought there might be a confrontation there. Ric Flair simply shook Roman Reigns' hand there. Did you take anything out of that, Kyle?
Yeah, I thought it was a good moment. And it's kind of interesting they're bringing Ric Flair here for this Monday Night Raw because one away from tying him kind of sets up to think that John Cena is going to continue to win, is going to probably win on Sunday. Bringing Ric Flair, I do like the interaction between him and Roman Reigns. I thought it was just him, look, he respects him, but John Cena's his man. He's going to shake his hand. He's got nothing bad against Roman Reigns, which I don't think anybody in wrestling has anything bad to say about Roman Reigns. Shook his hand, maybe kind of signifying passing the torch on Roman Reigns a little bit from Ric Flair. Maybe wanted that moment to shake his hand in the ring. And but like I said, it's kind of a weird coincidence. John Cena, Ric Flair's here for Monday Night right before Battlegrounds. Maybe John Cena.
Well, he would have to lose the title to, of course, win it again and tie the record. So you'd have to have that thrown in there. But, like you said, Kyle, I kind of agree. I think the fact that Ric Flair shook Roman Reigns' hand in the ring, perhaps that means something. Roman Reigns got huge bloodlines here. Reminds me a lot of The Rock, both former football players. They both, were big-time football players. Roman Reigns was a defensive tackle. But there was another thing that happened. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but John Cena, after hooking up with his buddy Ric Flair there, handed one of the belts to Ric Flair. Did you take anything out of that, Corey?
Yeah, guys, quickly here just to kind of get onto the main event. That could signify, of course, we've seen Flair hold that belt many times in the past. That was the old WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Flair was the one who basically introduced that belt. And we saw Cena hand that off to Ric Flair and say, you keep it. Yep. So could this mean, guys, that we're going to see phasing out of the two belts? We're just going to see the one WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Championship belt representing that, you guys think?
I hope so too.
Well, it's probably a pain in the ass to carry both belts around.
Cena had an inventive way of doing it, but I think you should probably hang that one up.
Yeah, just hang around your neck.
But maybe it's also setting up for a new champion. Maybe the new champion doesn't want to have two belts like Cena. Maybe they just want to have the one. And I think Corey is right about one of the belts being phased out.
Yeah.
But on to the main event. Of course, you had just the two guys, Reigns and Cena, without their boy Ambrose right here. He was in the hospital. And you had them facing against the Authority with some team chemistry issues here.
Yeah.
Corey, how'd it go down?
Well, guys, we saw a pretty big back-and-forth brawl, of course, with Reigns and Cena outnumbered tonight. Pretty standard match. John Cena and Roman Reigns did end up getting the victory. Guys, I hate to glaze over what happened, actually, the action in this match, but I have to say here, guys, late in the match, we saw Seth Rollins attempt a springboard clothesline onto Roman Reigns from the apron. And it looked like he tweaked his knee a little bit. He brought his knee up and it looked like he landed kind of funny. And then he immediately went over to the ropes and had Roman Reigns clothesline him out. He did the backflip deal and landed again on that same leg, the right leg. It looked like at that point he stayed down for the rest. I mean, it didn't look like it. He was down the rest of the match, guys. We saw the trainer, the WWE ringside doctor, go over to him. Guys, I mean, this is huge going into Battleground. Seth Rollins is the Money in the Bank holder. Could he possibly be injured here, guys? I mean, like I said, I hate to glaze over the main event going into Battleground, but this is huge news.
Kyle and I kind of suspected that. I was worried, but I was hoping that because of how it went down, it looked kind of right that Seth Rollins was knocked out. Yep. Because, of course, what happened was Kane knocked out Orton accidentally. Reigns speared Cena accidentally. Yep. There was an eventual disqualification here, but we saw Randy Orton basically straight up RKO Kane, his henchman, his bodyguard. So that's huge leading up to the match. So I thought because all that went down, it was kind of right that Seth Rollins was knocked out.
Yeah.
Of course, with Dean Ambrose in the hospital, that, of course, may be a reason for no one to come out and stop him using his suitcase. And they don't want him to actually use that suitcase because they already have the championship match set in stone, of course, for this Sunday. But I really hope but Corey says is not the case. If Seth Rollins is injured, that's another huge injury. We cannot take it, especially Seth Rollins with so much momentum.
Not again.
Hopefully that is not the case. We'll find out because there was an announced matchup between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. Retro and I are really looking forward to that matchup. That would suck if it turned out that they have to cancel it.
All I gotta say, RJ, is I think you need to put air quotes around those accidentallys when both of them got knocked out.
Hey, we'll see what happens. It looks bad.
It makes sense. I mean, it looks bad, but I mean, we've seen it wrestling before. I've seen some guys. I'm like, damn, I think he's fucked up, and nah, he was okay. Hopefully, he's okay. But I know Twitter took off. A lot of people that were there said they really felt something was wrong with him.
Oh no.
So I think Corey might be correct here, and this is gonna mix up the storyline. And I'm not gonna say it. Wait for the predictions.
Yeah, wait for the predictions. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of WWE Raw Reactions. Make sure to stay tuned to the Battlegrounds preview. Is Seth Rollins injured? Corey, who is our WWE encyclopedia around here, says there's a good chance that he is, which means we might have another superstar out. Hopefully it's just a minor thing here.
I think it is.
Hopefully you're right, Retro. I certainly hope so, because as I mentioned, that would be an epic matchup between the two former Shield members. And we all know that Seth Rollins is Mr. Money in the Bank, which means he can come out at any moment. We were fully expecting him to come out and try to take this championship from whoever might eventually win it. But if he's injured, that surely is not going to happen. Make sure, once again, to stay tuned to our big preview. I'm RJ for Retro Brett.
Yo.
FPS Kyle.
Take it easy.
C-Dub, take us out, man.
Like, subscribe, share, stay tuned for the big Battleground pay-per-view preview coming up next. As always, stay trippy, my friends.